Be honest with yourself. Have you ever stood in front of the mirror, run your fingers through your hair, and thought, why does it look so flat lately? Perhaps it used to bounce or maintain its shape, but now it falls straight down, regardless of the products you try. You're not alone. Many women feel the same way. The good news? It's not permanent. With just a few small changes, you can start bringing that volume and life back. Let's talk about something a lot of us don't say out loud. As we age, our hair changes. Maybe you're still using the same shampoo from 10 years ago, but now your hair feels off. It's not you. It's the little things we're not taught to notice. That's where I come in. I've spent years helping women uncover what their hair truly needs. And in this video, I'll show you 4 steps that can make a real difference. Here's something most people don't know. Fine hair and thin hair are not the same thing. Fine hair means your strands are small and soft. Thin hair means you have fewer strands overall. But guess what? Both can make your hair look flat, lifeless, and hard to style. And when you treat one like the other using the wrong products, cuts, or tools, you're setting yourself up for frustration. I've seen women try every mousse and spray out there with no results. It's not their fault. They were never taught the difference. That's why understanding your hair type is so powerful. Once you know what you're working with, you can stop fighting your hair and finally learn how to make it work for you. You've probably heard people say, "My hair is so thin," but what they really mean is their hair feels soft, lacks volume, and won't hold a style. And you know what? Most of the time, they're not actually talking about thin hair at all. They're talking about fine hair. And believe me, there's a big difference, and understanding that difference is one of the most important things you can do for your hair. Let's break it down in simple, no-fuss terms. Fine hair refers to the diameter of each strand. It's the texture. Picture one single strand of your hair between your fingers. If it feels silky, barely there, maybe even like a thread of silk, then you likely have fine hair. That doesn't mean your hair is weak or unhealthy. It just means each strand is smaller in diameter compared to someone with coarse or thick hair. Now, thin hair is about density. It's how many strands you've got on your scalp. You could have fine hair with a full head of it, and that would not be considered thin. On the flip side, someone could have coarse hair with sparse areas or visible scalp. That's thin hair. The real trick is both types of hair, fine and thin, can end up looking flat, lifeless, or lacking body. And that's why so many people get confused. I had a client named Janet, a lovely woman in her late 60s. She came in saying, "I think I need a hair thickening treatment. My hair's thinning fast." But when we examined her scalp and felt her texture, what she really had was super fine hair, but still a good amount of it. She was just using all the wrong products. Heavy creams and oils that weighed everything down. Once we switched her to lightweight volumizing sprays and taught her how to blow dry upside down for lift, it was like a whole new person walked out of that salon. That's the power of knowing your hair type. When you understand what you're working with, you can actually work with it, not against it. And that goes for your stylist, too. If your stylist doesn't specialize in fine or thin hair, they might be recommending cuts or products that don't serve you. Always ask questions. Bring pictures. Be honest about how your hair behaves day to day. Another way I like to explain it is with a food metaphor. Imagine a bowl of soup. The type of noodles inside, that's the texture. Fine, thin angel hair versus thick udon. But the number of noodles in the bowl? That's the density. So you can have a bowl full of angel hair noodles, and it still feels full. Or a few chunky noodles and it feels sparse. The same goes for hair. Fine hair can be dense. Coarse hair can be thin. And everything in between. So what does this mean for your routine? If your hair is fine but dense, you want to avoid anything too creamy or oily. Go for products that add grip and texture, like mousses, root lifters, or dry texture sprays. And never overload your roots with conditioner. I always say, moisture goes mid-shaft to ends. That's where your hair needs it, not the roots. But if your hair is coarse but thinning, your strategy's going to be different. You might benefit more from scalp treatments, gentle massages to encourage circulation, maybe even light layering or color techniques to add dimension. In some cases, hair toppers or extensions made for thinning hair can be a great confidence boost, too. The real takeaway here is this: stop guessing. Start knowing. Because guessing leads to frustration. You try product after product, cut after cut, and nothing seems to work. But knowledge? That's power. It puts you in control of your look and your confidence. And it's never too late to get that clarity. If you're unsure what type of hair you have, ask your stylist during your next visit. Better yet, ask them to show you. Feel the texture. Look at the density of your crown. Once you know what you're working with, you can finally start to enjoy the process again, not dread it. Because that's what hair care should be. Empowering. Uplifting. A way to express who you are, not a daily struggle. Your hair isn't a problem to solve. It's a part of your story. And with the right approach, it can be one of your greatest strengths. Let's talk about something a lot of people miss when it comes to thinning hair. The root cause. And I don't mean just the physical roots of your hair, though that matters too. I mean understanding what's actually going on in your body that's causing the hair to change in the first place. Because here's the deal. Hair thinning doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's almost always connected to something deeper. And when you take the time to figure that out, you're not just treating symptoms. You're addressing the real issue. For starters, genetics plays a big role. If the women in your family started to experience hair thinning in their 40s or 50s, chances are you might see the same pattern. That doesn't mean you're powerless, but it does mean you're not alone. I've had women come into my salon in tears, feeling embarrassed or ashamed of their hair loss, like they did something wrong. And I always tell them, this isn't your fault. It's biology. But now we figure out how to work with it. Then there's hormones. Huge factor. Especially during menopause, when estrogen levels drop, it can feel like your hair starts falling out overnight. And it's not just menopause. Pregnancy, postpartum, thyroid changes, even switching up birth control or HRT, can throw your hair for a loop. One client of mine, Marie, was losing handfuls of hair every time she showered after having her second baby. She thought it was stress. Turns out her iron levels had tanked. One visit to her doctor, a supplement routine, and within 3 months her hair was bouncing back. Medications are another biggie. A lot of prescriptions, especially those for blood pressure, depression, and even acne, can have hair loss as a side effect. And unfortunately, this isn't always clearly communicated. That's why it's so important to read those little pamphlets you get from the pharmacy. Better yet, talk to your doctor. Ask if anything you're taking could be contributing to hair thinning. Sometimes, just switching to a different brand or dosage can make a difference. Nutrient deficiencies come up all the time. If your body's not getting enough B vitamins, iron, zinc, or protein, your hair is often the first place it shows. Why? Because your body is smart. When resources are low, it prioritizes the organs that keep you alive. Hair isn't essential for survival, so it gets cut off first. That's why crash diets, fasting, or just skipping meals regularly can really impact your hair over time. Let's not forget about autoimmune conditions. Things like alopecia areata, lupus, or thyroid disorders can all lead to patches of hair loss or overall thinning. If your hair loss feels sudden, uneven, or comes with other symptoms, like fatigue, weight changes, or skin issues, it's time to book an appointment with a doctor or dermatologist. Don't guess. Get tested. And then there's stress. Oh, stress. It doesn't just make us tired and cranky. It can push hair follicles into a resting phase, which means they stop growing and eventually fall out. This is called telogen effluvium, and it usually shows up a few weeks to months after a stressful event. I had a client once who lost her mother, moved houses, and started a new job all within 3 months. A few weeks later, her hair started shedding like crazy. But once life settled down and she gave herself the space to rest and heal, her hair came back. So what's the bottom line? If your hair is thinning and you don't know why, the first step isn't buying a bunch of products. It's getting curious. Pay attention to patterns. Have blood work done. Talk to professionals who understand the connection between internal health and hair. And don't feel like you have to have all the answers right away. Sometimes it's a combination of things. A little genetics. A little stress. A medication you forgot had side effects. That's okay. The point is, once you understand what your hair is reacting to, you can start making changes that actually move the needle. And that might look different for everyone. For some, it's supplements and scalp massage. For others, it's switching medications, adding iron, or simply being more gentle with your styling. But here's the most important part. Don't blame yourself. Hair loss can feel deeply personal, like it's tied to your femininity, your age, your identity. And when it changes, it can be emotional. But you are not your hair. You are no less worthy or less beautiful because your hair has changed. You're just evolving. And your routine can evolve too. Let this be your starting point. The moment where you stop guessing and start investigating. Where you listen to what your body is trying to tell you. Because when you treat the root cause, not just the symptoms, you give your hair the best chance to grow stronger, healthier, and more vibrant. And you give yourself the gift of understanding, which, in my opinion, is the most powerful beauty tool there is. Now let's dive into one of the most underused, yet most powerful tools for creating the look of fuller hair color dimension. And no, this isn't just about covering grays or chasing a younger version of yourself. It's about using color the smart way to enhance depth, movement, and light in your hair so it appears thicker, more vibrant and alive. It's like contouring for your face, but with strands instead of blush. Let me start with a common scenario. A woman walks into my salon with gorgeous hair. It's long, shiny, and healthy, but it looks flat. Why? Because it's all one solid shade. Even though the hair is in great shape, it's not catching the light. There's no contrast. And when everything blends like that, your hair can appear thinner than it actually is. This happens a lot, especially with solid black, dark brown, or very light gray tones. They might be beautiful colors. Now, picture the opposite. Imagine a hairstyle with soft highlights or lowlights woven in. Maybe just a few pieces around the face. A touch of brightness at the crown. Or some deeper tones underneath. Suddenly, the light reflects off different angles. Shadows fall in just the right places. The eye sees more layers, more shape, more volume. That's the magic of dimension. It fools the eye in the best way possible. And here's the great news. Getting this kind of color doesn't have to mean high-maintenance appointments every 4 weeks. Techniques like balayage, baby lights, or soft low-light weaving are perfect for mature women with fine or thinning hair. These methods blend naturally with your base color, which means you can go months without touch-ups. I've had clients go 5 or 6 months between appointments and still look fantastic. One woman, Linda, had shoulder-length silver hair and felt like it was just blending into her face. We added a few soft, smoky lowlights underneath and some pale ash highlights near her temples. The difference was incredible. Suddenly her eyes popped. Her face looked brighter. Her hair looked fuller. Not because we added any extensions or changed her cut, but because of the illusion created by thoughtful color placement. Another key benefit is that color can add texture. And I don't mean making your hair feel rough. I mean visual texture. When your hair is all one color, especially a light or medium tone, it can look almost too smooth like a sheet. But add a little contrast, and suddenly it has shape and personality. That visual texture mimics the look of more hair. It's the same principle makeup artists use when they contour cheekbones or highlight brow bones. You're shaping with light and shadow. Now, if you're nervous about coloring your hair, or you've had a bad experience in the past, I hear you. The trick is to start small. You don't need a full head of foils or dramatic changes. Just a few strategically placed tones can make a huge difference. And if you're working with grays or whites, there are even translucent color glazes that add shine and softness without covering your natural beauty. It's also important to find a colorist who understands your hair type. Fine or thinning hair needs extra care during the coloring process. Overprocessing can cause breakage, so gentle techniques and nourishing products are a must. I always recommend talking to your stylist about the long-term plan. Ask how they'll maintain your hair's health and integrity. A good stylist won't just chase a trend. They'll help you create a look that lasts and works for your lifestyle. If you color your hair at home, keep it simple. Use semi-permanent glosses or toning treatments that wash out over time. These can add a soft hue or shine without the commitment. And remember, always deep condition after coloring to keep your strands soft and strong. Let's wrap this up with a reminder that color isn't about hiding. It's about highlighting, celebrating, enhancing what you already have. The right tones can elevate your whole look and bring confidence back into your reflection. I've watched countless women light up after a subtle color refresh, not because they looked younger, but because they felt more like themselves. So whether you're silver, brunette, blonde, or somewhere in between, don't overlook what color can do. It's not just for covering roots or keeping up with trends. It's a tool. A creative, empowering, deeply personal tool that, when used with care and intention, can transform how you see yourself in the mirror. Color dimension is not vanity. It's a strategy. It's self-expression. And for many women, it's the gentle push they need to fall back in love with their hair. So go ahead, explore your options. Find tones that reflect who you are now, not who you used to be. Because when you work with your hair's natural beauty instead of fighting it, that's when the magic really happens. Let's talk about something deceptively simple but surprisingly powerful: keeping your hands out of your hair. Now, I know this might sound almost too easy, maybe even a little silly, but trust me, if you have fine or thinning hair, this is one of those tiny habits that can make a huge difference in how your hair looks and feels throughout the day. Think about your daily routine. You wash, dry, and style your hair in the morning. Maybe you even take the time to curl or tease it a bit for volume. You look in the mirror and it feels good. But then, almost without thinking, your hand goes up. You tuck a piece behind your ear. You smooth a little flyaway. You run your fingers through the crown. Maybe you're nervous or bored or just in the habit of touching your hair. It happens to all of us. Here's the thing. Every time you touch your hair, you're transferring oil and dirt from your hands to your roots. Your fingers carry natural oils, even if you just wash them. And those oils quickly weigh down the roots, especially with fine hair. What started as fresh and bouncy in the morning becomes flat and greasy looking by the afternoon. Not because your hair is dirty, but because it's been handled too much. And it's not just about the oil. Constant touching also disrupts your style. That teasing you did, the lift at your crown, it slowly collapses the more you mess with it. Your fingers can undo the work of your round brush and hairspray in a matter of hours. Even worse, this habit can lead to breakage. Fine hair is delicate by nature, and repeated friction from your hands, especially when you twist or twirl, can cause strands to snap or weaken over time. Now, I know this all sounds a bit dramatic for something as basic as touching your hair, but I've seen the difference it makes firsthand. One of my clients, Sarah, came in frustrated that her style never held. She followed all the tips, used the right products, blow-dried with a round brush, and even tried rollers. Still, her hair fell flat by noon. When I asked her to walk me through her day, she mentioned brushing her bangs out of her face dozens of times. That's when the light bulb went off. So we made one simple change. She started setting her hair with a light, flexible hairspray, not one that made it stiff or crunchy, but one that created a finished feel. That helped her resist the urge to touch it. She also started carrying a little travel comb in her purse. When she wanted to tidy up, she used the comb instead of her hands. Within a week, she came back and told me, "I can't believe it. My hair actually still looks good by dinner." It's those little things that build better habits. I tell clients, think of your hairstyle like a sandcastle. It looks great when freshly done, but the more waves, your hands, come crashing into it, the faster it collapses. So, how do you protect it? First, recognize the behavior. Half the time we touch our hair without even noticing. Become more aware. When you feel that urge, try redirecting your hands. Keep them busy, hold a coffee cup, clasp them together, or even rub on some hand cream. Not only does that keep oil off your hair, but your hands stay soft too. Another trick is choosing styles that stay in place. If you constantly push hair out of your face, try pinning pieces back or tucking them gently under a headband. Not only will you touch your hair less, but it can also frame your face in a flattering way. And if you love the feeling of running your hands through your hair, because let's face it, it can be soothing, save that for when you're about to wash it. That way, you're not sabotaging your fresh style. Think of it as a little pre-shampoo scalp massage. Also, talk to your stylist about how your haircut might be encouraging or discouraging, and your touching habits. Some cuts fall into the face more often or need more maintenance throughout the day. A good stylist can design a shape that works with your lifestyle and minimizes fussing. The biggest takeaway? Less handling equals longer-lasting volume. When you stop constantly adjusting and fussing, your hair holds its shape better. It looks fresher for longer. You preserve the work you did in the morning, and you feel more confident knowing your style is staying put. In the end, it's not about perfection. You don't need to keep your hands off your hair at all times. But a little mindfulness goes a long way. Like so many parts of caring for fine or thinning hair, it's about small shifts that lead to big changes. When you start treating your hair like something you want to protect, Not something you need to fix. You'll begin to see a real difference. So next time you reach up, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, does my hair really need adjusting, or is this just a habit? That 1 second of awareness could be the thing that keeps your style lifted, fresh, and fabulous all day long. Let's take a moment to talk about conditioner. Now, I know it sounds like a basic step in the shower routine, but for people with fine or thinning hair, this one little habit can make or break your volume. Conditioner is essential. It keeps hair soft, smooth, and manageable. But using it the wrong way, especially near the roots, is where a lot of us go wrong. See, the hair at your roots is usually newer, healthier, and not nearly as thirsty for moisture. It hasn't been through as much heat styling or brushing as the mid-lengths and ends. So when you apply conditioner on top, it tends to just sit there weighing everything down. Suddenly, your hair feels greasy even if it's clean, and any bounce or volume you had disappears. Here's a better way to do it. Flip your head over in the shower. Start applying conditioner from the middle of your hair, and work your way down to the ends. Use your fingers like a comb to distribute it evenly. Then rinse thoroughly while your head's still upside down. This keeps your roots light and lets the moisture go where it's actually needed. Trust me, this one shift changes everything. Your hair will look fuller, feel cleaner longer, and hold its shape better throughout the day. It's not about skipping conditioner. It's about getting smart with how you use it. Small change, big difference. So now we've come full circle. We've talked about the little habits, the silent mistakes, and the everyday choices that shape how your hair looks and feels. But more than anything, I hope you walk away from this with one message. Your hair doesn't define your worth, but it can reflect your care. When you understand your hair, whether it's fine, thinning, or just different from how it used to be, you begin to work with it instead of against it. And in that process, something is empowering. You stop chasing the perfect look and start building a relationship with your reflection. One based on grace, intention, and confidence. That's not just styling. That's self-respect. If this video helped you feel more confident about your hair, or gave you a few tips you can actually use, don't forget to subscribe and stick around. We've got more videos coming your way, like the best haircuts to keep your volume without losing length, and how to style for softness and shape. Every little change matters, and you deserve to love what you see in the mirror. So hit that subscribe button and let's keep growing together.